This is quite literally a better Steam Deck. And the fact that they released it just a couple of days before the Switch 2 is kind of funny. It's called the Lenovo Legion Go S. I'm not just comparing it to the Steam Deck for goofs and gaffs and giggles. I'm comparing it to the Steam Deck because it comes loaded with Steam OS. In fact, it is the main and sole operating system, and Lenovo themselves sent this over, and they're sponsoring the video. But that doesn't mean I'm not gonna say what I want to say. In fact, the brief they sent me was just that. Brief. The brief they sent was have fun with the video and talk about what you like. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. Alright, so I gotta be honest with you guys. This is the part of the video where usually I would unbox the console. But without going on and on about it again, I had a baby and it's made it a little hard for me to find time to film things. So the other night when I was doing my night shift, taking care of him for hours before my wife woke up, I decided to go ahead and just unbox this thing, set it up, stop fiddling around with it. But it would be fairly anticlimactic to not unbox something. So why don't we unbox another one? Because Lenovo sent me two Lenovo Legion Go S's. This is the 32GB model, which has a better GPU and obviously more RAM, 32 gigs of it, like I said. This is the 16GB version. Actually, it's really cool that I get to do this again, because unlike any other handheld PC console we've looked at on this channel, this is by far the easiest to set up. I'm now realizing with my studio lights blaring down here, there's almost this like cobalt blue finish to both of these consoles. It's a really nice looking cobalt blue. I've mostly been playing it at night in the dark. And I thought it was just a matte black. So let me show you what I mean here by how easy it is to set up this thing. We're gonna hit English. We're gonna go down to Eastern Standard Time for New York. I'm gonna put in my Wi-Fi and you're not gonna look at it. I'm gonna take a sip of coffee. It's already done. It says installing Steam. This only takes a couple seconds. Something I'll note while this is installing is Steam recently released Steam OS to be publicly available. I really love that Steam is doing this. I mean, the Steam Deck is great, but it's already been out for a few years and it's starting to get dated. So to work hand in hand with another company with their OS, it's really cool. You know, you would think on one hand it's undercutting their own business, but on the other hand, it's not, because it's their operating system where if you buy games on it, they're directly making money. As I keep saying, it's effectively made a much better Steam Deck. It even has a similar form factor. It's really comfortable to hold because of the grooves at the back here. It even has a tiny mouse nub. I think they added this because the Steam Deck has trackpads, and this works pretty well and has a lot of nice vibration and feedback. Really nice buttons and controls. I mean, this is an extremely quality product. Also, the screen is so big, clean, crisp. I really love this screen. It is so vibrant. Here we go. It's booting up. It says Legion. Sign in. You grab your phone. I'm already signed in on my phone to Steam. So I scan it, sign into Steam. Bob's your uncle. You're in. Oh, it's so nice. Like any other handheld PC console like this, you gotta see the Windows screen. You gotta sign into your Windows account. You gotta then update Windows. You gotta start downloading your games and messing with small menus and downloading Steam and downloading Epic and downloading Game Pass or whatever it is that you want to play games on. It just takes forever. Whereas this is just Steam OS. So I'm gonna do comparisons here. I'm gonna spend another day or two with this guy. I've been playing it for the last day or two, but I need more time. And then I'm gonna get back to you guys with some final thoughts on these, but I gotta be honest, I'm very impressed. I really like them, and I'm probably just gonna tell you how much fun I had playing them. Oh, I'm sorry, I was just playing Cyberpunk at about 70 frames. Technology is moving at a very scary rate. I hate to keep going on about it, but I just had a son. I keep thinking about what he's going to have as technology when he's 10. I've been taking a look at these handheld PCs now for years, and when I first started 4 or 5 years ago with my first handheld PC, it didn't do this. So to start with, Lenovo settings. I have 120 Hertz mode turned on and frames up to 120. 20. And then I left essentially every other setting off and just enabled variable refresh rate. Okay, first, and starting with Cyberpunk, since we have it opened and ready to talk about. By default, it sets itself to the Steam Deck graphics settings, and that put me about medium to high graphics settings at about 40 to 40 FPS at full resolution. So already I wasn't really having to compromise anything, but I wanted to see what else I could do. I mean, this isn't a Steam Deck, right? So by customizing it a little bit, I actually got it up to about 70 FPS, and the game looks great. And I'm sure you could tweak this even more, but man, awesome. It's probably doing already better than what the Switch 2 port is going to be able to do. So I didn't have a ton of time to do comparisons on every game I played on both consoles, but I did do Cyberpunk because I was curious on the 16 gigabyte model. And on that same Steam Deck mode, it was much closer to 30 FPS. But of course, that was just that default Steam Deck mode. As I said, as soon as I tweaked it, just like I did here, we were more in the 40s. It was bouncing between 30 to 50. 30 was the lowest that I saw. And that's honestly probably what we're gonna expect from the Switch 2. Next up was Elden Ring. On default settings, I mean, it had a super fast load time. Everything was set to high full resolution, and it was averaging about 40 FPS all day, every day. And it was by far the best I have seen this game looking on a handheld that I've played. You can set the visuals all the way down to low and get closer to 60 FPS, but it just wasn't worth the trade-off in my opinion. Playing a third-person action game like this at around 40 frames is more than enough for me. I've been addicted to Marvel Rivals recently, and I went ahead and put that on both. On the 32 gigabyte model, I was getting 90 frames all day, every day at full resolution. I was playing ranked games online and winning and having a great time and feeling like it was a viable way to play that game even in a ranked mode. Over here on the 16 gig with the same settings, it was around 50 to 60 FPS, which is still fantastic. It's not a super intense game to run, but it doesn't run on the Switch. Developers did try, they said. They had to look at the Switch ecosystem and they just decided it didn't have enough performance. I'm hoping we get it on Switch 2, but on these things, easy. That was it for the 16 gig. Again, I didn't have a ton of time for this. Those are my comparisons for 16 gigs, and I just saw the way it was trending. You know, whatever I threw on this could do just the same, but like 20 frames less. Witcher 3, I'm a big fan. I'm sat in a Witcher chair right now. I don't know if you can see that. So out the box, Witcher 3 by default looked awesome and was running at like 50 FPS. When I changed it to the Steam Deck mode, I got 60 FPS. But when I went and started customizing it, to start with, I set things to low and had kept it at full resolution, and it was crushing it. So I turned up to medium, crushed it again. Turned up to high, ultra. I literally went all the way up to ultra graphic settings, and I was still getting about 45-ish frames at full resolution on ultra. I know Witcher 3 is an older game, but it's a gorgeous game, and I just did not expect to be able to do that. Baldur's Gate 3 is a game I've tried putting on these handhelds before. I tried doing it on my Steam Deck just to play Baldur's Gate portably, and I was pretty disappointed by the way it looked. It just visually was a mess. Kind of looked like a bad Switch port blur, you know, kind of like how Outer Worlds looked. But on this thing, I could do a whole playthrough. All the settings set to high at full resolution. I was getting 50 to 60 FPS in battles, and then just walking around the Baldur's Gate city, I was getting like 40 FPS, but visually the game looked great, and I'm sure you could tweak it even more. And finally, the last game I played, I always like to throw Red Dead 2 on these things. I still remember loading up one of those really early Aeoneo handheld PCs and getting maybe 20 frames in Red Dead and just being impressed that it was even running. So now to be running this game at full resolution without having to set every graphic setting to low and still getting about 45 FPS just excites me. It just makes me want to start a new save and play through this game again. My current Steam save file is stuck in the opening segment of the game. It's all winter and it's all snowy and hard to record footage. So I got a little bit, but I really wanted to record in the daytime. So I kept trying to load into the online mode, and it was always nighttime. I had to prop the sticks so that my guy was spinning in a circle so that I wouldn't get kicked from the server. And when I finally came to, there was like NPCs and creatures everywhere in this town of Strawberry, but they were just standing there motionless. And I realized all of the creatures were legendary creatures from the game, just standing still in the town like statues. And then one online guy in the middle of it all. It was like an episode of Jujutsu Kaisen. Like, I didn't know what was happening. And then all of a sudden, one by one, they all popped out of existence. And I ran up to the guy who I believe is the culprit, who I believe was hacking the lobby. And I pointed my gun at him just to look at his name. But I think he thought I was accusing him. And immediately, I don't know what happened, but the server crashed. And at that point, it was about 4 in the morning and I just was done. So that was the footage I got of Red Dead. If you could tell me what I experienced, what you think I saw, please let me know down below because I'm still confused by it. The battery is the only thing. I mean, I play with the thing plugged in anyway most of the time because I sat next to an outlet, but you're only getting a couple hours at best running something like Cyberpunk at 70 frames. But I've come to expect that with these handheld consoles anyway. That is the only thing I think that's a compromise here is the battery life. Other than that, no compromises. All right, I need time. I need time. At this point, I've spent about a week with this thing, and I just really like it. I gotta tell you, having these games in full resolution smokes the Steam Deck for me. All up, I've been very impressed with this thing. Some things I didn't touch on was we have a 1 terabyte SSD in here. The Steam Deck OLED only has half of that, so all the games I played today fit comfortably on the internal hard drive without me even having to use the micro SD slot. In fact, really the only disadvantage I can see here is that it's heavier. It's almost 300 grams heavier than the Steam Deck OLED. But considering how comfortable it is, nice to hold, and out of all the handheld PCs I've played, the fan noise in this is a lot quieter than I expected. Okay, here's my final thoughts and comparing the Lenovo Legion Go S to what I'm expecting from the Switch 2 and also the Steam Deck. The 32GB model is an absolute powerhouse, but at $850, you would expect that. What I enjoyed so much and had so much fun with this console was there's no compromising. Everything ran at over 30 frames at full resolution, and then it just depended on what kind of graphic settings you wanted to tweak to get those resolutions even higher. And for games like Marvel Rivals, where I'm hitting 90 to 100, or Cyberpunk, where I'm hitting 70, and the games look great at full resolution, there's just really no compromises. We couldn't be much closer at this point to feeling like I just have my PC games on the go, which is crazy how fast this technology is moving and how far we've come so quickly. Then we have the 16GB model, which cuts that price almost in half to $500. And this is a direct competitor to the actual Steam Deck. The specs are very similar, with this thing just beating the Steam Deck out on performance. But where you really have to consider this thing being the winner, it's that full resolution, because it's giving the same level of performance as a Steam Deck, if not just a little bit better, but doing it at full resolution, which is technically a lot more impressive, looks way better, and ends up with a much nicer product on a larger 8-inch screen. How any or all of this compares to the Switch 2, in my opinion, Nintendo handheld, it's not a powerhouse, right? It's not always going to be able to run whatever AAA game comes out day one. Sometimes it takes a while for those games to be optimized, if they ever even do come over. I have a Switch 2 for those optimized experiences when I get them, and the exclusive games. I'm buying it for Mario Kart. I'm buying it for the next Zelda. But having something like this on the side in the meantime means I don't have to wait for those experiences. Or I can grab a game off of Steam to play with my friends if there's no crossplay to my Switch and one of my friends wants to play Baldur's Gate and they only have it on PC. That's not even on Switch. That's where these come into play. And either of these models will fit that perfectly. I really liked their last Lenovo handheld with the separate Joy-Cons and the little mouse. I thought it was smart, clever. I enjoyed it. But it was clunky, and it was bulky, and it was heavy, and after a while, all of that started to annoy me. This is so much more streamlined, such a nice little color tint to it too with the blue. So comfortable, so quality to hold and play. I think they really knocked it out of the park, and I have really nothing but nice things to say about its overall form factor, its performance, and my experience with it. Everything just worked. This thing's really sick, and if you didn't just spend all your money pre-ordering a Switch 2 and you'd like something like this, there's links down below. You can check it out. It does support the channel, and I'd appreciate it. And thank you, Lenovo, for sending it over and letting me take a look at it early. And I really do love it. And I don't have to say that. They gave me a whole thing that said you don't have to say anything. I'm saying it because I wanna, because it's what I feel. All right,